A case that wasn't even supposed to land in front of a jury ends with a shocking conclusion.
Well, you can't guess you were there, right?
I'm just not positive for him. Actually, struck at this time.
We're taking you inside this gruesome crime out of Las Vegas, where a woman is facing a life sentence for killing the father of her children before she decapitated him. This is Inside the Crime, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Elizabeth Millner. Hey, by the way, there's a reason Law&Crime is the go-to spot for true crime content. Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest personal injury law firm. They have more than 1,000 attorneys and have recovered $25 billion from more than 500,000 clients. In the past few months alone, a client in Florida received $12 million when insurance offered just $350,000. And in Pennsylvania, another client was awarded $26 million. 40 times the insurer's offer. Morgan & Morgan makes it so easy to fight for what you deserve, you can even start a claim from your phone. So if you're injured, you can start a claim at forthepeople.com/insidethecrime. Click the link below or scan the QR code on your screen. The Devyn Michaels case was shocking even before it went to trial, just based on the gruesome allegations alone. But the former adult film star claimed it was the victim's son who did it, the same victim's son that she's currently married to. On August 7th of 2023, a horrifying 911 call came in.
And my son is on the bed, and open I look, I don't know, open the cover. It's all bloody, I don't know.
The caller on the phone was the mom of Jonathan Willette. No mom should have to see a scene like this. Jonathan's head was missing from his body, and near his body were bottles of bleach and ammonia. But who could do such a terrible thing? Investigators looked into his ex-wife, Devyn Michaels, who was with Jonathan earlier in the day.
But the items that weren't found are what was particularly notable for the investigators. They didn't find a murder weapon. They didn't find whatever this person used to cut his head off. They did not find his head. They did not find his wallet. They did not find his truck keys, and they did not find his phone. They interviewed Yoko, and the gentleman above Yoko's photo is Yoshida, her partner. According to Yoko and Yoshida, the defendant, who they referred to as Nikki and knew as Nikki, ultimately identified as Devyn Michaels, was the last person to see Jonathan alive. Nikki and John had been moving the girls' and John's items from this Paladura address to Nikki's address on Porcupine Rim that she shared with Devier, and for a temporary period over the summer, the young girls. They learned that Nikki and John returned to this address, the Paladura address, for the last time at 10 p.m. on August 6th, or around 10 p.m. They learned from Yoko that about 1 a.m. she was going downstairs for a glass of water and ran into the defendant, who she will describe to you when you hear from her as she appeared to be startled to see me. The defendant and Yoko have a conversation. It's relatively brief. Yoko's in the kitchen cleaning up some dishes. The defendant has now entered the kitchen, and they begin to talk when the defendant tells Yoko, "John's asleep. Don't go in there." Those aren't her words. You'll hear this through the course of the trial. She says, "John's asleep. He's passed out. We have plans for him to move some more stuff in the morning. Kind of don't bother him kind of thing." Yoko then noticed that the lights were on in John's room, but decided, hey, if he's asleep, I'm not going to go in there. She returns back upstairs. Yoko went to sleep, leaving Nikki, or the defendant, alone in the home. You will learn very clearly that there were only 4 people in the home at the time of this incident: the victim, the defendant, Yoko, and Yoshida. Yoko also will tell you that around 8 a.m. she found John without a face. You probably heard from the 911 call, there's a bit of a language barrier. She'll do her best to describe what she initially saw and the shock, obviously, that ensued. Very importantly, they find the defendant's purse. Inside her purse, they find the victim's Social Security card, along with one of her work cards.
Devyn claimed that she had no idea how the bloodstained items were found in her home. She kept that story up for so long, until she was arrested. She claimed on the day John was murdered that she gave him a massage and claimed her ex got a little handsy.
He's rubbing on you. Is this making you upset or uncomfortable or something?
Eventually it did bother me
Okay.
What bothers you about it?
that he's still pursuing sex even though maybe this isn't going to turn away and everything like that. And he's still trying to do something.
Well, but you're still giving him a back rub, correct?
Because I know he has regrets. And if I don't kind of keep him happy to a point, he can keep him away from me, which he doesn't let him before.
You love your girls, don't you?
Very much so.
With all your heart?
There's enough to murder. So,
I didn't say that. I'm just asking you that you love them with all your heart. That has nothing to do with her.
yes, sir,
Okay.
Is that why you asked him to move back in to have, because it currently, or we'll say at this time, he had full custody?
no, we both had temporary joint custody. He filed to get sole custody, and he never showed up, so his motion was denied.
I thought CPS revoked or took your parental rights away for a bit.
They did,
Okay, that's what I'm referring to.
and that case was closed, and we had temporary joint custody. And he was supposed to file custody, and he never showed up.
What was that?
That was in April,
Okay,
so his motion was denied.
okay.
That's where it left it. Both had temporary joint custody. He had physical custody of the girls.
Okay, so you got legal custody, legal joint.
Yes, sir.
He had physical custody. What was his visitation like?
Based from CPS, I was supposed to see the girls for supervised visits for therapy sessions only. And he never enrolled them. I enrolled him, and that was it. And he said he didn't want to go to the courts anymore. We were going to be one happy family. And we were actually working towards it. We were not perfect, but we were getting along.
You kind of smirked a little bit while you were telling that story. What kind of brought that emotion out?
Because when it was all said and done, when he needed something, I was helping him. No matter how much he did something, I was helping him. And everything said, thank you for helping me, thank you for helping me. And it was like, I was literally trying my best to put back together my family.
Go back to your family or get your girls back?
My family, because my girls wanted everybody under one roof. It was what they
Your girls?
Yes, sir.
Not what you wanted. Understandable.
Trying to make myself out to be anything other than what I am. Yes, I am John.
Let's talk about that. He's laying here, got the massage. He's rubbing on you. You said at some point you feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, he was starting to get on my nerves because he kept grabbing on me. Like, I already said, no, stop touching me.
Okay. Then what happens?
I hit him, and he stopped touching me.
What'd you hit him with?
Some staff thing that was on the fireplace.
Okay. So the fireplace in the same room?
Yes.
So he's laying on the bed. You get off the bed, walk over to the fireplace. What do you grab?
The staff.
Oh, what? I'm sorry.
I don't know what it's called. It's thing.
Describe it.
It looks like a candle holder type thing.
A candle holder?
I don't know, it was square. It was, I can't make the shape. I don't know how to describe it.
Okay. So
talking short?
Shorter than that.
Shorter than that?
A little bit. Of this one. At the inside of this.
I'm going to recheck.
Yeah, the
Okay,
inside.
how thick? Okay,
Something
so about
small.
like that?
Yeah, something.
And same thickness throughout the length of it, is that
It's
correct?
hard to just have like a square, like the top and square thing at the bottom.
Okay, so is the candle holder something that you put on the ground and the candle sits on? Is that,
That's something, that's what it looked like.
okay, and what color was it?
Wooden color.
Like a black, or was it like a dark brown, or black? Did they have like a black coating on it?
Kind of same, maybe a black color.
Okay, and just out of the middle of the massage, you get up and you walk over to the fireplace. Does he say anything to you? Still lays in bed, did you say, hey, I'll be right back? Don't move? You just got up and walked over.
I got up and I walked back.
Okay, and what happened after that?
I got up.
Where were you standing when you hit it?
I was kneeling in the bed.
In the same position.
So you got back in the same position, just for clarification purposes, back where you originally gave it the back massage, between the headboard, correct? Which direction was his head facing? So facing away from you. Okay. Where exactly did you hit him?
On the head.
Okay.
During her police interview, Devyn refused to give detectives any type of information on where Jonathan's head would be located. Prosecutors argued Devyn killed Jonathan over a nasty custody dispute over their daughters. But Devyn's defense attorneys offered jurors another potential suspect.
DeVries interviewed the day of August 7th, 2023. And at the beginning of his interview, he admits that he's been drinking. He claims that upon hearing of his father's death, he'd got his drink on. But what's telling through the course of what he says and what he doesn't say, he's asked, and again, at first, and you can't blame the detectives, they're trying to do the best they can with a fairly complex situation. They're trying to get a root, a feeling of the root of the relationships between the parties. I mean, you've got Jonathan Willette, who's dead. You've got Devyn, the son that's living with the defendant now in this case, Devyn Michaels, and they're trying to grasp what's really going on. What's going on behind closed doors. They struggle in each of the interviews, both with Devyn and with Devyn, to get a feeling of what's going on. Like, what are the relationships? And they're misled time and time again by all parties. In this interview, the first of which that Devyn has, they're trying to get a handle on this idea of this marriage and the relationship. And they ask him, but you're saying that you guys are married more out of convenience, not like you guys actually love each other. His response, yeah, we don't. It's not like that. It's out of convenience. But you guys sleep in the same room? His response, no. He's asked here, they're at the home. His response, no. Are you guys intimate at all? His response, no. Devyn is being asked questions who, by the way, you will learn he hated. And he's lying about the relationship that he has with his wife. There was some discussion concerning phones, and I'll tell you any more in this modern society. These are the key of most investigations. In fact, the statement said that's why the Devyn was ruled out. The location data on the phone didn't track that night to the Paladera residence. That's easily solved. It's easily explained. It was left home. That's it. There are other cases that have been of some notoriety that happens. People know now. They track you on your phones. You're going to learn that Devyn knew this and the importance and the significance of this clue to this hidden secret. This marriage of convenience is belied by the facts. You have to ask yourself, as these facts unfold, why is Devyn covering for Devyn? Big guy, like his dad. His dad 6'4", 205 pounds. We had spoken yesterday. Devyn Michaels was in the porn industry. You know, she's not on trial for morality, she's on trial for murder. She had AKAs given her line of work. Devyn was into that. He knew that. He appreciated that. He pursued that. And this illicit relationship began before the relationship had ended with his father. It was done behind his back. Text between Devyn and Devyn. See, notice the photo? It's that same photo I showed you. 19-year-old, he's now 20. Girl, you had me mesmerized last night. You don't have to change a thing. Like that night was hands down the most sensational feeling I've ever felt since I lost my virginity.
It's an interesting household dynamic, right? Devyn was married to Jonathan, had children with him. Then she was also married to Jonathan's son too. Devyn's husband, Devyn, did take the stand, but not as a witness for the defense.
Did there come a point in time when you were introduced to a woman by the name of Nikki?
Yes, sir.
And ultimately, you end up getting married to Nikki. And we have a lot to unpack here. I'm sorry to air your dirty laundry, but we have to ask a lot of questions about this, okay? When you first met Nikki, was she dating or in a relationship with your dad?
They were dating at the time.
They were dating at the time?
Yes, sir.
Where were they living at the time, if you know? When your dad and Nikki were together, did they eventually have children?
Yes, sir.
And is that your two sisters?
Yes, sir.
We don't know girls are born. Do you and Nikki enter into an intimate relationship?
Yes, sir.
About how old were you at that time? 19 years old?
Yes, sir.
Do you know how old she was at the time?
Yes, sir.
How was it that relationship kind of started? Do you remember who kind of, I don't mean to be crass, but like who made the first move or any of that? Okay, it was a long time ago, right?
Yes, sir.
While you were intimate with Nikki initially, was she still dating your dad? Or in a relationship with your dad?
Yes, sir.
Does it embarrass you to admit that in front of a bunch of strangers?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When is it, if you remember, that you learned she's arrested for the murder of your dad?
I want to say a week afterwards, maybe 2 weeks.
Okay. So somewhere in the range of a week or 2 weeks after the actual death.
Yes, sir.
In the interim, before she gets arrested and after your dad's death, do you remain at Porcupine Rim?
Yes, sir.
Do you question what happened to your dad?
Yes, sir.
Are there a lot of kind of unanswered questions you have during that time frame?
Yes, sir.
Did there come a point in time after her arrest that she contacted you from the detention center?
Yes, sir.
And Judge, we would move to admit 631, which is a recording of that contact.
An incarcerated individual has entered the detention center. This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored. If you believe this should be a private call, please hang up and follow facility instructions to register this number as a private number.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
What?
What would you like to talk about?
I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to get some information. They won't tell me anything. There's
some news about you, and they're not very pleasant.
I was told they're holding me here while they look for evidence. Because they don't have any evidence. They have no murder weapon, no motive, no nothing. They're holding me here to find it.
I'm pretty sure that they started.
But
You sound like you should have been released already.
I haven't gone to court yet. I go to court tomorrow.
Okay, well, I'm not even going to California. CPS at the girls with my grandfather. Are you getting fingerprinted so they can go with him as they might go with your grandparents? So will you get released tomorrow?
I should. That's what I'm hoping for. And that's literally what's going on. They have
Did you
absolutely,
ask what's going on?
yes, they have absolutely nothing on me. They showed me a picture of a bottle of soft scrub cleaning detergent, and they said, you have one in your house. And I'm like, okay. They're like, well, this was used at his house. Like, you're joking me, right? Like, that's literally what they showed me.
When it was Devyn's attorney's time to cross-examine him, they painted him out to be the only person with motive to want Jonathan dead.
Testified today, fair to say, for the first time, that you had a relationship with your wife that went years back.
Yes, sir.
You'd been asked that by a lot of people, correct? You'd been asked that before under oath, correct?
Yes, sir.
But you didn't tell the truth, did you? Sir, you were given copies of your prior statements in preparation for your testimony today, correct?
Yes, sir.
You were. You're a smart man, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
And you reviewed those copies of your statements in your testimony, correct?
Yes, sir.
Because you wanted to be prepared for today, correct? I see.
Speak up for me, brother.
You had testified today that you learned of your father's death for the first time about 1 o'clock on August 7th, 2023, correct?
Yes, sir.
You'd said, I believe it was your grandfather.
Yes, sir.
Now, you were interviewed by police just shortly after that, correct?
No, sir.
You were interviewed at 2:35 p.m. August 7th by a Detective Ozawa.
Yes, sir.
He came to ask about you, your wife, stuff what was going on in the house and at the other house, correct? The Paladera house. He asked you how you got along with your father, and you told him we never really got along, correct? It's a little bit different than what you testified to today, correct? It's the same, or it's different?
It's the same. I worked with my father.
I'm sorry, in this low voice, you can speak up, please.
I worked with my father, so we don't touch on all the things, but it doesn't mean that I didn't love my father.
Okay, but the question is, how do you guys get along? And your answer is, we never really got along, correct? I'm sorry, sir, you have to speak up.
Only overwork.
Only overwork. Well, it was just a few seconds after that that you said that you knew he was going to move in there, correct? And you didn't want to talk to him when he was at the house.
No, sir.
On August 6th. You don't recall telling the detective that? I mean, you have this transcript that I'm going to start referring to. You referred to it and you reviewed it before and to prepare for today's testimony, correct?
Yes, sir. I was so shortly after his death that he was going to move in, and I had no prior.
Counsel, I'm referring to page 4. I'm sorry, I'll start on page 3. I did see him here when he was unloading everything into the garage, but I just didn't speak to him. You're asked, okay, is that you guys just don't get along or just? And then you stated, we never really did. And the detective says, okay. Correct?
Yes, sir.
And then you say, so not to cause any complications here, because I know he was going to move in here, I just didn't want to talk to him.
That was after the death.
But you're talking about, you saw him the day before, he's moving stuff in, and you're not going to talk to him because you know he's going to move in, and you guys don't get along. You're talking to the detective about what was going on in your head the day before, correct?
No, sir. I was told that they were moving the death and going to into the house for the
So when you're telling the detective on August 6th, I didn't go and talk to him because I never really got along with him, and I didn't want to cause any complications here because I know he was going to move in here, I just didn't want to talk to him. You're now under oath saying that meant something else?
No, sir. I'm answering the question. I was told after my father's death that he was going to move into the house, but I had no idea prior to that.
Fair to say that you were downplaying your feelings for your wife when this detective came to ask you about the murder of your father.
Yes, sir, because I didn't know what actually happened to my father.
Please say it again.
Yes, sir, because I didn't know what happened to my father.
Okay. But you're lying to the police officer about your relationship with your wife, correct?
After weighing her options, Devyn opted not to take the stand in her own defense. But what's interesting is she previously was supposed to plead guilty to second-degree murder, which would have given her 15 years in prison, despite the gruesomeness of this crime. During a July hearing, she previously claimed she was innocent.
I just told one thing after another, and I truly believed that we were going to do the right thing, and it just didn't happen. I keep listening to what everyone tells me is the best thing to do. Just do this and it'll work out this way, and follow this advice and we'll do this. And I keep listening to the people because they keep saying this is the best advice. It doesn't turn out the way they tell me it will.
But did a jury see her side of the story? Or did they believe the prosecution's theory of the case?
District Court, Clark County, Nevada. State of Nevada plaintiff versus Devyn Jade Michaels, a.k.a. Devyn Willette, a.k.a. Nikki Fairchild, a.k.a. Tracy Baker, a.k.a. Tracy Nicole Tavares, defendant. Case number C-23-377-239-1, Department 10. Verdict. We, the jury, in the above entitled case, find the defendant, Devyn Jade Michaels, as follows. Count 1, murder with use of a deadly weapon. Guilty of first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon. Dated this 14th day of November.
Devyn had little to no reaction after the jury came back with their verdict. But she's no longer facing what some were calling a sweetheart deal. Now that she's been convicted of first-degree murder, she's facing the rest of her life in prison. Devyn Michaels hasn't been officially sentenced yet. That'll come in the new year on January 8th of 2026. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Inside the Crime. I'm Elizabeth Millner.